Ethan was sprawled across the couch, controller in hand, eyes locked on the screen. Grand Theft Auto, again. Myra stood in the doorway, watching her son mow down pixelated pedestrians for the third hour straight, and something inside her just snapped a little. Ethan, dinner's ready? She called out. No response. She said it again, louder. Still nothing. The kid was in another world, chasing some in-game achievement, oblivious to everything around him. She finally walked over and paused the game herself. Ethan groaned like she'd committed a crime. Mom, I was literally about to finish the mission. Myra sighed and sat down beside him. Ethan, do you know how many hours you've spent on this thing this week? He shrugged. I don't know. It's not that deep. But it was deep. Because just that morning, Myra had been scrolling through a video that a coworker sent her, a video about a 9-year-old boy in Tokyo. His name was Haruto, and Haruto's daily routine looked nothing like Ethan's. Haruto woke up at 6:30, made his own bed, prepared a simple breakfast alongside his mother, and walked to school with a group of neighborhood kids. No parent supervision required. After school, he had 2 hours of homework, followed by an hour of piano practice. Screen time, 30 minutes. Total. Not 30 minutes per game. 30 minutes total for the entire day. Myra couldn't stop thinking about it. Not because she wanted to turn Ethan into someone else's kid, but because the contrast felt like a mirror she didn't want to look into. Ethan, can I ask you something? He rolled his eyes but nodded, controller still in his lap. If I gave you $50 right now, what would you do with it? Buy V-Bucks, obviously. He said it without even blinking, like it was the most natural answer in the world. Myra nodded slowly. And if I told you that same $50, if you saved it every month for a year, could turn into your first real investment, would that interest you? Ethan looked at her like she'd started speaking another language. Investment? Mom, I'm 13. Haruto's 9, Myra said quietly. And he already has a savings jar with 3 different sections. One for spending, one for saving, one for giving. Ethan didn't say anything. He just stared at the pause screen, the game frozen mid-explosion, and for a second, just a second, something shifted in his expression. Myra didn't push further. She just squeezed his shoulder and walked toward the kitchen. But she knew, deep down, this wasn't just about Fortnite or GTA or Minecraft. This was about a habit that was quietly shaping how her son would see money for the rest of his life. That night, Myra couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the conversation in her head. The way Ethan looked at her like saving money was some foreign concept, something that belonged to other kids, not him. So she did what she always did when something bothered her. She researched. She found more videos, more articles, more comparisons between how Japanese families approached money and how American families did. And the pattern was almost too consistent to ignore. In Japan, kids as young as 6 were given small amounts of cash, not through allowance apps, not through Venmo transfers, but physical coins, meant to be touched, counted, and understood. They learned the weight of money literally in their hands before they ever learned the concept of a bank account. Parents didn't just hand over cash for chores. They sat down with their kids and asked, "What do you want to do with this?" Myra thought about how differently things worked in her own house. Ethan got his allowance dropped into an app. He never touched a single bill. He never had to make a choice about it, because it just sat there, invisible, until he wanted to spend it on some digital skin for a game character that didn't even exist outside a screen. The next morning, she decided to try something different. Ethan, come here for a second. He walked into the kitchen, still half asleep, hair a mess. What? Myra placed 2 clear jars on the table. This is an experiment. This week, instead of your allowance going straight to your account, I'm giving you $20 in cash. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Okay. Why? Because I want you to actually see it, feel it, and I want you to decide, right now, how much goes into this jar. She pointed to the first one, for saving. And how much goes into this one? She pointed to the second, for spending. Ethan stared at the jars like they were some kind of trick. So, I can still spend it on V-Bucks? If that's what you choose. But you have to choose. Not just tap a button and forget about it. He hesitated, then slowly took the $20 bill from her hand. He looked at it for a moment, really looked at it, like he was seeing cash for the first time in years. Then, almost reluctantly, he put $15 into the spending jar and 5 into the saving jar. Myra didn't say anything. She didn't correct him. She just nodded, because this wasn't about getting it perfect on day one. This was about Ethan finally having to make a decision his fingers could feel, instead of one that disappeared behind a screen. 2 weeks passed. The jars sat on Ethan's dresser, a quiet reminder every time he walked into his room. And something strange started happening. Ethan began checking them, not because Myra told him to, but because he was curious how fast the spending jar emptied compared to the saving jar. One Saturday afternoon, Myra found him sitting cross-legged on his bedroom floor, counting the coins and bills in both jars. "Mom," he said without looking up, "the spending jar is basically empty. Like, every time I get money, it just disappears into some skin or emote pack. And the saving jar?" He held it up. It wasn't much, maybe $18, but it was more than what had been there the week before. "This one's actually growing." Myra sat down next to him. "How does that make you feel?" Ethan shrugged, but there was something different in his voice this time. "Kind of weird, actually. Like, I spent so much on stuff I don't even remember using. But this?" He tapped the saving jar. "This is real. I can see it." That was the opening Myra had been waiting for. You know what Haruto does with his saving jar? Once it hits a certain amount, his parents take him to open his first real bank account. He gets to watch the number grow. And when he wants something big, not a game skin, but something that actually lasts, he already has the money for it, because he didn't waste it on stuff that vanishes in a week. Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then he asked something that caught Myra completely off guard. "Do you think I wasted a lot of money already? Like, over the years?" Myra chose her words carefully. "I think you were never taught to think about it differently. That's not your fault. It's just, nobody sat you down and showed you how money actually works. Until now." Ethan looked at the two jars again. Then he did something Myra didn't expect. He reached into his spending jar, pulled out a few dollars, and moved them into the saving jar. "I still want to play games," he said. "I'm not becoming like some monk who never has fun. But maybe I don't need every single skin that comes out." Myra smiled, resisting the urge to make a big deal out of it. Instead, she just said, "That's called a choice, Ethan. And you just made a really good one." For the first time in weeks, Ethan looked at his allowance not as free money to burn, but as something he was actually in control of. A month later, something had shifted in the house. Quietly, without any big announcement. Ethan still played Fortnite. He still occasionally begged for GTA online currency. But he wasn't mindlessly burning through his allowance anymore. He was thinking, pausing, asking himself if he actually wanted something, or if he just wanted it because everyone else had it. One evening, Myra sat down with him again, this time with a notebook instead of jars. "Ethan, I want to show you something Haruto's family does that I think you're ready for." "More Japanese kid stuff?" he said, half joking, but leaning in anyway. When Haruto saves enough money, his parents don't just let him spend it however he wants. They ask him 3 questions. Do you need it? Do you want it because you'll actually use it? And is there something better you could do with this money instead? Ethan crossed his arms, thinking. So it's not about never spending. It's about spending on purpose. Myra blinked, surprised at how quickly he got it. Exactly. "Okay," Ethan said. "Ask me the questions. I've got $40 saved up now." "What do you want to buy?" "There's this new game bundle. It's basically Fortnite, Minecraft skins, and some GTA Online cash packed together." "Do you need it?" He paused. "No." "Do you want it because you'll actually use it? Or because your friends are talking about it?" Ethan hesitated longer this time. "Honestly, Because my friends are talking about it. And is there something better you could do with the money? He looked at the notebook, then back at Myra. I could keep saving, maybe get something bigger later, or actually put it toward that new bike I wanted. Myra didn't say a word. She let him sit in that answer, let him feel the weight of choosing for himself. That night, as Ethan closed his laptop instead of opening it, Myra thought about how far they'd come from that first night on the couch. The paused game, the frustrated sigh, the $50 he would have blown without a second thought. She wasn't trying to raise a kid who never had fun. She was trying to raise a kid who understood that money wasn't something that just appeared and disappeared. It was something you shaped, one choice at a time. And maybe, just maybe, Ethan was starting to understand that the real game worth mastering wasn't the one on his screen. It was the one he'd be playing for the rest of his life.